There's something about living under the same roof as your in-laws that makes you either incredibly close or incredibly cautious. In our case, it was both. The house belonged to my wife's parents. It had been in their family since the 50s. 2 stories, wraparound porch, one of those slanted roof homes you only see in old towns where everyone still knows your last name and what year your uncle got caught fishing without a license. We moved in 5 years ago. First floor living space for us. Upstairs for her parents. My wife, Renee, had talked about the setup like it was temporary. It'll just be until we save for our own place, she said. 6 months, a year tops. That was 5 Thanksgivings ago. At first, I didn't mind it. Her dad was a quiet man who mostly tinkered in the garage. Her mom, Gloria, was warm bordering on overbearing but always tried to feed me something. She'd slide leftovers across the counter like a poker dealer. Try this. I added rosemary this time. Renee and I had our own routines. We worked opposite shifts, which helped in a weird way. I'd kiss her goodnight before heading to work in the morning, and she'd kiss me when I came home late. We didn't fight much. We didn't talk much either. Looking back, I should have paid more attention to that second part. It started with the stairs. Not Renee's. Her mom's. Gloria would catch my eye at the strangest times while passing in the hallway, during dinner prep, even once when I came back from the backyard carrying firewood. It wasn't fear or pity. Not quite guilt either. It was apology. Long, soft, apologetic stares like she owed me something she couldn't say out loud. The first time I noticed it, I brushed it off. Maybe she was just getting older. Maybe I reminded her of someone. But then it kept happening. Over and over. Until one Tuesday morning, it finally made sense. I was folding laundry in the den. Renee had tossed our clothes in the dryer the night before and asked me to finish the rest before work. Typical routine stuff. I reached in, pulled out a bundle of warm towels, and something thin slipped between them and landed on the floor. A letter. Old-fashioned envelope. No stamp. Just a first name, written in sharp black ink. Carter. At first, I figured it must have been from her mom. Gloria always sent handwritten letters to her sisters, even though they lived across town. But when I turned it over, I paused. Because on the back, barely visible in the crease of the seal, was my wife's name. And inside the envelope, when I opened it out of pure curiosity, my world shifted sideways. It wasn't long, just a paragraph. But every word hit like a punch to the ribs. I know it's wrong, but when I'm with you, I don't feel like a mistake. I don't feel invisible. I wish I had chosen you instead of playing it safe. I'm not ready to blow up my life yet, but God, I think about it all the time. She signed it with her middle name. Not Renee. Not even her usual signature. Just Adriana. The name she told me she hated. Said it sounded too dramatic. Too soap opera. Funny, considering how she used it. I stared at that letter for a long time. Not just the words, but the fact of it. How it ended up in my laundry basket. Not hers. Not tucked away in a purse or under a mattress. Mine. There's no way it was an accident. Gloria had sorted the laundry. She always did. Said it helped her feel useful. Which meant she saw it. She knew. And this was her way of telling me. Not with words. Not with confrontation. But with a quiet little envelope and that same look in her eyes I'd been trying to decipher for weeks. I'm sorry. I didn't confront Renee right away. I didn't storm upstairs or burn the letter. I tucked it back into the envelope, folded it once, and slid it behind the loose panel in the closet right where I kept old tax documents and a pair of cufflinks I hadn't worn since our wedding day. Then I waited. That night, I played dumb. Asked her about her day. Rubbed her shoulders while she watched her favorite baking show. Kissed her on the cheek and told her I'd dream of her. She smiled. And I hated that I still loved that smile. A few nights later, I heard them. Not Renee and her mystery man. Her and her mother. It was past midnight. I'd been reading in bed, couldn't sleep. I heard footsteps on the stairs, quiet voices in the kitchen. I got up. Tiptoed toward the vent in the hallway floor, the one that let sound carry up from below like a confession chamber. And I listened. Her voice came first. Whispered. Sharp. You had no right to put that letter in his laundry. Gloria, it wasn't an accident. Jesus, Mom. I couldn't let you keep lying to him. It's not your place. He's been nothing but good to you. And you treat him like a backup plan. You think I don't know that? Then a pause. Heavy. I picked the wrong man, okay? I know that. I made the safe choice. And now it's too late. Gloria again, it's not too late to stop. And live a lie forever? Pretend I'm still in love? You don't have to love him. But you owe him the truth. What if he already knows? That one hit me like a shovel to the gut. Because in that moment, she was right. I did know. I went back to bed. Laid there staring at the ceiling like it might answer the question I hadn't even formed yet. What do you do when the woman you love admits out loud that she doesn't feel the same? Worse, that she never really did? That you were safe, predictable, the boring one she settled for. The emergency exit when her other plans fell through. In the morning, she made me pancakes, kissed me on the forehead, asked me if I wanted to visit her sister that weekend. It was like nothing happened. Like I hadn't just heard her confess that I was her second choice. That somewhere out there, Carter was still in the picture. And maybe he didn't even know I existed. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight her. Wasn't going to yell. Wasn't going to beg. I was going to wait. Smile. Nod. Keep pretending. Until the day I didn't have to pretend anymore. Until the day I could return the favor. Because secrets are only secrets until the wrong person finds out. And thanks to her mother? That person was already me. You ever walk into a room and realize you're the only one who doesn't know the truth? That's what it felt like living in that house after the letter. Like I'd walked into a play halfway through, and everyone else already had their parts memorized. Renee carried on like nothing had happened. Smiling. Cooking dinner. Asking about my day. All those little rituals that look like love from the outside. But underneath? There was distance. The kind you don't see until you feel it. Like watching your breath fog a window, but only from your side. I never mentioned the letter. Not to Renee. Not to her mom. Not even to myself, if I'm honest. I tucked it away so deep I almost convinced myself it hadn't happened. Almost. But every time she touched me a little too gently, or hesitated before answering a simple question, that letter burned in my memory like a scar that wouldn't close. I started noticing everything. The texts she wouldn't read in front of me. The way she angled her phone away when I walked past. The sudden increase in work late nights, even though her office didn't stay open past 6. She had a new perfume too. Not strong, subtle. Floral. Like jasmine with something warmer underneath. I asked her about it once. She said it was a sample she got from a friend. Funny thing, though. Her sister wore the exact same one. Let me tell you about Alyssa. Renee's younger sister. The wild one, as their mom used to say. She lived one town over, in a little craftsman house with a lemon tree in the front yard. Taught art at the community center, helped run an after-school program for kids with special needs. We'd always gotten along in that easy, teasing way where nothing feels forced. Where every conversation felt like picking up in the middle of an old inside joke. But things shifted after the letter. I started visiting more. Excuses at first. Dropping off a toolbox she'd borrowed. Helping her fix the side gate. Bringing over leftovers she forgot to pick up from family dinner. And each time, she opened the door a little wider. One night, we ended up sitting on her porch, watching the rain slide off the roof like silver threads. Neither of us spoke for a while. She was the one who broke the silence. You know, she said, I used to think you were too good for my sister. I turned to her. Why's that? She shrugged. Because you listen. You don't try to win the room. You just show up. That stuck with me. Not because it was a compliment, though it was. But because it was the first time in weeks that someone saw me. Really saw me. Not as a prop in someone else's love story. But as a person. A man. A few weeks later, I got the news that changed everything. Alyssa called me, voice shaking. I don't know how to say this, she started. My stomach dropped. You okay? I'm pregnant. There was a long pause. Then she said, it's yours. Let me tell you what went through my mind in that moment. First, terror. Not because of the baby, but because of what it meant. Second, disbelief. Because this wasn't part of any plan. And third, relief. Because for the first time since I found that letter, I was the one holding the truth. I didn't yell. Didn't panic. I just breathed. And said, okay. We'll figure it out. And I meant it. Because the moment she told me, something inside me unlocked. Not just a sense of responsibility, but something deeper. Like maybe this whole nightmare had cracked open just wide enough to let something real fall through. We agreed to keep it quiet. Not out of shame, but strategy. Because I had a plan now. A slow burn plan. The kind of plan that takes months to set in motion, but when it hits, it hits. We filed paperwork. Had meetings with a lawyer. A quiet one, out of town, who specialized in custody cases and sensitive family matters. Alyssa wanted to raise the baby herself, but she wanted me involved. And I wanted that too. I wasn't going to be a ghost dad. I was going to show up. Back at the house, Renee kept playing house. She made passive jabs about how everyone's having babies these days and it's not like we'll ever be able to. See, that was the thing. Renee had told me, years ago, that she was infertile. Doctors. Hormonal issues. She'd said the chances were slim, almost impossible. I never pushed. Never questioned. I loved her. That was enough. Or so I thought. But now I saw that lie in a whole new light. Not just because of the pregnancy, but because one night, I found a receipt in her purse. A receipt for a prescription, Clomid. A fertility drug, filled 2 months ago. So not only had she been lying about me, she'd been lying about her body. And it wasn't because she couldn't have kids. It's because she didn't want mine. You want to know what kind of restraint it takes not to blow up a house full of secrets? Every night I kissed her goodnight, knowing what I knew. Every dinner I smiled through. Every question I answered like I didn't already know the ending to the story. It was calculated. Cold. And it broke me a little more each day. But I had to play it cool. Because Thanksgiving was coming. And I had something to be thankful for. When I told Alyssa what I planned to do, she hesitated. Are you sure? She asked. No, I said. But I'm ready. Because there's something about betrayal that rewires you. It teaches you to look for silence in places where there should be noise. And noise in places that were always too quiet. I saw that now. Clear as glass. So I waited. Watched. Smiled. Held Renee's hand in public and ignored her cold grip behind closed doors. I let her believe she still held the upper hand. Let her think I was still in the dark. And every night, when she fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling and whispered to the baby that was coming. I got you. Because secrets? They don't stay buried forever. Not in this house. Not with her mother watching. Not when the truth is already growing. Thanksgiving used to be my favorite holiday. No gifts. No pressure. Just food, football, and the chance to sit around a table pretending your family isn't broken. This year, it felt different. Maybe because the house was heavier with silence than usual. Maybe because I knew something nobody else did. Or maybe it was just that every chair at that table represented a lie and I was finally ready to clear the air. Renee had gone all out decorating. Pumpkins lined the steps. Fall garland curled around the banister. She even made one of those cheesy grateful signs and hung it above the living room mantel like it was going to erase everything she'd done. I watched her flutter around the kitchen, brushing hair from her face and humming some old Ella Fitzgerald tune. She looked the part. Perfect daughter. Perfect wife. Perfect little actress. Her mom barely spoke all morning. She caught my eye twice, once while peeling potatoes, once while setting the table. Same look as always, sorry, but scared. Like she wanted to say something but didn't want to be the one to say it. Didn't matter. Because I was going to say it. And I was going to do it with a smile. By 3 o'clock, everyone had arrived. Renee's dad sat at the head of the table, carving the turkey like it was a sacred ritual. Her cousin Henry brought 2 pies and a bottle of wine he couldn't afford. Alyssa arrived last. She was glowing, but not in the way you'd expect. Not in a cliché, motherly halo kind of way. She looked calm. Centered. She caught my eye as she slipped off her coat and smiled. Just the corner of her mouth, like she knew the punchline of a joke no one else had heard yet. I stood to pull out her chair. She said thanks like she meant it. Renee didn't even flinch. Dinner started normal. Polite laughter. Shifting silverware. Gloria fussing over portion sizes. Renee gave a short little toast, some cookie cutter thing about gratitude and togetherness. She clinked her glass and kissed me on the cheek. It was all so performative. But I played my part. Until dessert. That's when I stood up. Before we dig into that pumpkin pie, I said, tapping my glass, I just want to say something. Every head turned. I felt Renee tense beside me. Most of you know, I continued, this year's been complicated. Chuckles. A few nods. But I've been thinking a lot about family. About what it means to show up for someone. To tell the truth. To love with your eyes open. I paused. Alyssa looked down at her plate. I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. In the spirit of that, I said, I have something to share. Renee shifted in her seat. What are you doing? I turned to her. Still smiling. I wanted to wait for the right time. And what better time than Thanksgiving to announce, I looked back at the table, that I'm going to be a father. Gasps. Someone dropped a fork. Gloria covered her mouth. Renee blinked. Excuse me? I nodded slowly. Alyssa's pregnant. The silence after that? It felt like the earth had stopped spinning. Then came the voices. Renee, you're what? Alyssa, I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Gloria, oh my God. Her dad just stared at his plate like it might sprout legs and run away. Henry opened the wine. Renee stood up, eyes wild. You're joking. I turned to her. I'm not. You, she looked at Alyssa, then back at me. You slept with my sister? No, I said evenly. I made a child with someone who doesn't lie to me. That hit harder than I thought it would. Renee took a step back, like I'd slapped her. You knew, she whispered. I held her gaze. Since the laundry. You ever watch someone unravel? It doesn't happen all at once. It's not some big scream or a chair flying across the room. It's slower. Sadder. Renee's face collapsed in on itself, confusion, betrayal, guilt, and fury all fighting for the same space. You don't understand, she said. I didn't mean. But you did, I cut in. You meant every word of that letter. You meant every lie about being infertile. You meant it when you said I was the safe choice. Her eyes flashed. Gloria stood up. Renee, sit down. No, Renee snapped. You knew. You let this happen. I tried to stop it, Gloria said softly. You ruined this. No, I said, voice calm. You did that. All by yourself. I looked back at the table. Sorry for the drama, I said. But if this family's going to keep pretending we care about truth and gratitude, someone's gotta actually live it. Then I turned to Alyssa. Took her hand again. And I choose her. We left before dessert. Didn't take anything with us. Not the leftovers. Not the flowers. Not even the pie. Just the truth and each other. Later that night, Alyssa and I sat on her couch while the rain came down. The baby kicked for the first time. She grabbed my hand, pressed it to her stomach. I felt it. Just a little flutter. But it was real. More real than anything I'd felt in years. I closed my eyes and breathed in the moment. And in that silence, I realized something. The people who love you quietly are always louder than the ones who shout and lie. I didn't go back to the house after Thanksgiving. Not even for my things. The next day, I booked a room at the Willow Inn across town, a quiet little place with thick quilts and pinewood paneling that smelled like old books and fresh coffee. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Enough space to breathe. Enough silence to think. I sat on the edge of the bed that night with my phone buzzing nonstop. Texts from Renee. From her dad. Even a few guilt-drenched messages from Gloria. But I didn't reply. Not yet. Because that night, after everything that had been said and unsaid, I needed to understand one thing above all else. Why lie about being infertile? I remember the night she first told me. It was 2 years into our marriage. We'd just gotten home from a baby shower, her cousin's third kid in 5 years, and we were folding the card table back into the closet when she said, "Maybe we should talk about something." I sat down. She didn't. She stood there with her back to me, arms crossed over her chest like she was holding in more than just words. I had tests done a while back, she said. Before we got married. I asked what kind. She hesitated. Then, fertility. The word hit me like a cold wave. She turned slowly. They said it'd be hard for me to conceive. Like, really hard. I remember standing, walking over, wrapping my arms around her like she might shatter if I let go. You should have told me sooner, I said. I was scared. And that was the end of it. Or so I thought. Looking back now, the signs were everywhere. The way she always changed the subject when people asked about kids. The way she kept pushing back, trying, always saying someday while dodging the conversation entirely. But the biggest sign? She never once saw a specialist while we were married. Never tried IVF. Never brought up adoption. Never even refilled the vitamins her OB gave her. I chalked it up to sadness. To grief. I thought she was protecting herself from more disappointment. Turns out, she was just protecting a lie. After Thanksgiving, I met with our lawyer again. Alyssa and I had agreed from the beginning, no drama. We wanted shared custody, equal parenting, and a clean slate. But our lawyer, God bless her, was more cautious. She's going to come for something, she said. Not because she wants it, but because she doesn't want you to have it. And she was right. Because 4 days later, Renee showed up at the community center where Alyssa worked. Unannounced. Uninvited. And very, very angry. I wasn't there when it happened. But Alyssa called me right after. She said you manipulated me, she said, voice trembling. Said you only got me pregnant to punish her. She what? She told me to give the baby up. Said I'd ruin my life. Said I'd never recover from being the sister who slept with her sister's husband. I clenched the steering wheel. She crossed the line. I'm okay, Alyssa said. Just shaken. But I wasn't okay. I was furious. Not just at Renee. At myself. Because even after everything, some part of me had still believed her story. Still wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. But now? Now it was war. That night, I went back to the house. Not to fight. To find the truth. Renee was out, probably licking her wounds at her best friend's place. Gloria let me in. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She's not well, she said, ushering me inside. I'm not here to see her. I went straight to the hallway closet, the one with the dusty boxes of insurance papers and medical files. And after 20 minutes of digging, I found what I was looking for. Her file. Not from 2 years ago. From last spring. A visit to a new OB. Routine workup. Full blood panel. And at the bottom? Clear as day. No indication of infertility. All reproductive markers within healthy range. Dated May 9th. She'd lied. Flat out. No complications. No damage. No can't. Just won't. Or more accurately, not with me. I sat in the living room with the file in my lap for almost an hour. Gloria brought me tea. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. The silence said enough. She sat across from me, folding and refolding the corner of a napkin like it could undo the years of deceit between us. Finally, she said, I wanted to tell you. I know. She was so scared of losing control. She never had it. Gloria sighed. She thought if she told the truth, you'd leave. I would have stayed. I know that too. When Renee came home, I was still sitting there. She froze in the doorway. Her eyes landed on the folder in my lap. She didn't speak. Didn't move. Just looked at me with this mix of fury and shame. You found it, she said. Not hard to find. She walked in slowly, dropping her keys onto the side table like the weight of them suddenly mattered. I wasn't ready. You were never honest. I didn't want kids with you. There it was. No hesitation. Just the blade between the ribs. I wanted freedom, she added. I wanted something different. Something fun. Then you should have told me. I didn't think you could handle it. I stood up. You're right. She blinked. I couldn't handle it. Not then. But I can now. Where are you going? Home. To her? To my family. She didn't chase me. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just stood there while I walked out the door and into the kind of cold that doesn't hurt anymore. It just clears your head. Back at the inn, Alyssa was waiting. I sat on the edge of the bed and told her everything. The fake infertility. The guilt games. The manipulation. She listened. Didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she took my hand and put it on her stomach again. The baby kicked. Once. Then again. She'll never touch him, she said softly. I know. She lied to you for years. And you never did. That was all that mattered. A few days later, we filed the final custody paperwork. Joint parental rights. Primary residence with Alyssa. Shared time with me. And a restraining order against Renee if necessary. The lawyer told us it would be ironclad. Especially, she said, given what you've documented. But it's not about her, I said. No, Alyssa agreed. It's about him. Our son. Our future. The family we built from the ashes of a lie. You'd think a town this small would get tired of gossip eventually. But no. When you blow up Thanksgiving dinner by announcing that your pregnant girlfriend is your wife's younger sister, word travels like wildfire soaked in gasoline. By Sunday morning, the whole block knew. By Monday, it was the church ladies. By Tuesday, the hardware store clerk asked if I needed anything for baby proofing. I hadn't even told half my family yet. Didn't matter. Secrets here don't stay secrets long. They just change shape. Mutate into rumors, into bless his heart whispers and neighborly smiles that don't quite reach the eyes. I didn't care. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Because I was done hiding. What I wasn't done with, though, was damage control. Not just for me. For Alyssa. She bore the brunt of it, even though she hadn't done anything wrong. People looked at her like she was radioactive. Like love, when it strays outside the lines someone else drew, is a crime. She was strong about it, braver than I expected, but it wore on her. I didn't steal you, she told me one night, curled up on the couch, her head on my chest. I know. I didn't even want you like that, not at first. But you showed up. She looked up at me. So did you. Renee tried to call 3 times the following week. I didn't pick up. She texted things like, "You humiliated me. You're not thinking straight. We can still fix this." And my favorite, "This is a phase. You'll see." A phase. Like a trust that spans 6 years, a marriage, and a fake infertility narrative could just be rebooted like a Netflix series. The truth? Renee never thought she'd lose. She thought she was the center of gravity, that everything would orbit back to her eventually. But what she never understood was that the second someone shows you they're willing to destroy you to protect a lie, they already lost you. I finally agreed to meet her. Not for reconciliation, for closure. We sat outside the cafe near the courthouse. Neutral territory. I had my lawyer on speed dial. She brought sunglasses and fake composure. "You look tired," she said. "I am tired. You're not eating well." "I'm eating fine." A pause. Then she said it, "I miss you." I stirred my coffee slowly. "What exactly do you miss?" She blinked. "I miss the version of you that didn't lie to me about being infertile," I said. "I miss the man who thought our future was real." "Don't act like I didn't try," she snapped. "You didn't try. You performed. And you expected applause. You blindsided me. You blindsided yourself. You just thought you were too clever to get caught." She sat back, her jaw clenched. I could tell she wanted to flip the table. Instead, she said something that caught me off guard. "She's not who you think she is. Neither were you. You'll regret this." "No," I said. "You will. You already do." She glared at me. Why her? Because she never used love as leverage. That was the last time I saw her face to face. A week later, her lawyer sent over a formal request. Request for visitation review. She wanted to see the baby. The one she said wasn't real. The one she mocked as a mistake. Her claim was emotional stake due to familial connection. Basically, I'm his aunt, so I deserve a place in his life. The answer? No. Not now. Not ever. Our lawyer filed a countermotion and requested a psychological review. The judge agreed. Renee was denied. The weeks turned into months. Alyssa's belly grew round and full like a sunset you never want to end. We went to every appointment together. Heard the heartbeat. Chose names. Set up the nursery in Alyssa's house, our house now. We didn't rush to get married. That wasn't the point. This wasn't about saving face or making things look right. It was about doing right, for once. About choosing peace over pretending. In March, Gloria showed up on our porch. No warning. Just rang the bell one rainy afternoon with a Tupperware of lemon bars and a look that said she'd aged 10 years in 6 months. "I'm not here to beg," she said. "Then why are you here?" "I want to be part of my grandson's life." Alyssa hesitated. "I didn't. Only if you accept that Renee never will be." Gloria nodded slowly. "I already have." We let her in. She cried the first time she felt him kick. Whispered, "Thank you," like we'd given her a gift she didn't think she deserved. She never brought up her daughter again. Not once. Spring came. Then June. Alyssa went into labor at 3:42 a.m. on a Wednesday. It was quiet. Peaceful. The nurses dimmed the lights. The monitor beeped like a lullaby. And when he finally arrived red and wrinkled and real, I held him against my chest and whispered, "You're safe now." We named him Jonah. A name that means peaceful dove. Because after the storm? That's what he was. Our proof. Our start. Renee never sent another message after the court ruling. She moved out of state, according to Gloria. Somewhere out west. New job. New name, maybe. But you can't outrun a story once you've written yourself as the villain. It follows you. Every town. Every dinner. Every mirror. Jonah turns 6 months old this week. He laughs at shadows, cries at his own sneezes, and thinks ceiling fans are the peak of comedy. He already has my eyes. Alyssa says he'll have my heart too. I believe her. Because now? We don't build on lies. We build on boundaries. On bloodlines that matter. And the ones we chose for ourselves. Small towns never forget. They pretend to move on, but they don't. They just rearrange the story to fit the version that's easiest to live with. By fall, the Whisper network around here had already rewritten most of what happened. To some, I was the husband who ran off with the younger sister. To others, I was the poor guy whose wife couldn't give him a child. But online? Online it was different. Because I told the story. Every word. I didn't plan to post it. It started as a journal entry. Something I wrote late at night, in Jonah's room, watching him sleep in that moonlit crib. But then I saw a thread on Reddit r/true off my chest, one of those places where people spill secrets like dropped change. And I thought, why not? So I posted. No names. No location. Just the truth. 6 years of marriage. The letter. The fake infertility. The Thanksgiving reveal. The pregnancy. The silence. The recovery. I called it Her Mom Told Me First. Wrote it all in one sitting. Hit post at 2:11 a.m. Went to bed. By the time I woke up, it had 18,000 upvotes. By lunch, 50,000. By dinner, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. People from all over the world commented. This is like a movie. I need part 2. You handled this with grace. I would have burned the house down. Tell me you married the sister. Please give us an update. We're rooting for you. That one got me. They're rooting for you. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I'd felt, seen, heard. The internet, for all its chaos, handed me something unexpected. Closure. And then it handed me something else. Vindication. Within days, the post hit viral status. People started making TikToks dramatizing the letter. YouTube creators narrated it like a campfire horror story. Even a podcast picked it up, reading it with eerie piano music under the voiceover. It stopped being my story. It became the story. And suddenly, Renee was no longer just my ex-wife. She was that woman. You know the one. The one who lied about infertility. The one whose mother told her son-in-law the truth. The one who got outplayed by her own secrets. It didn't take long for someone to connect the dots. A friend of a cousin of a neighbor, someone somewhere figured it out and left a comment. Wait, this sounds like the Walker family from Chestnut Hill. Renee's last name. People started piecing it together. And in towns like ours, gossip spreads faster than truth ever could. She deleted her social media within a week, packed up and left. Again. Gloria was mortified. I never thought it would go public, she said, when she showed up at our door holding a printout of the post like it was a police report. You didn't do anything wrong, I told her. She's my daughter. And she made her choices. Gloria wiped her eyes. I'm glad you're happy now. I looked over at Jonah, sitting in his high chair, giggling with a mouthful of applesauce. I am. Alyssa didn't care about the post going viral. If anything, she said, it gave us control back. She was right. We didn't have to explain ourselves anymore. Didn't need to defend our love to every nosy PTA mom or sideways glancing cashier. The story told itself now. And it told the right version. Jonah turned one last weekend. We had a backyard party. Just a few friends, some family, paper lanterns strung between the trees. He tried cake for the first time, smashed it into his face, then cried when it was gone. Alyssa laughed so hard she dropped her phone. I stood there, watching them, with a drink in my hand and peace in my chest, and I realized something I hadn't been able to admit until then. I don't miss my old life. Not even the best parts of it. Because none of it was real. Not the smiles. Not the plans. Not even the dreams. They were just paper walls waiting to catch fire. Later that night, after everyone left and the stars came out, Alyssa sat beside me on the porch swing, her head on my shoulder. You ever think about writing a book? She asked. About what? Us. All of it. I chuckled. You want me to turn betrayal into beach reading? Why not? Feels like everyone else already did. I looked out across the yard, at the soft glow of the porch lights, at the plastic toys scattered in the grass, at the life we'd built with our bare hands. Maybe, I said. But not tonight. Why not? Because tonight, I want to live in the story. Not tell it. People still ask me if I ever heard from Renee again. The answer? Once. Just once. 6 months after the Reddit post exploded, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, in her handwriting. Inside was a single line. You didn't just leave me. You erased me. No apology. No accountability. Just bitterness. I folded the letter and tossed it into the fireplace without reading the rest. Because she got it wrong. I didn't erase her. She erased herself. All I did was stop trying to redraw her. You want to know the funny part? Sometimes, when I walk down Main Street now, people smile at me in this weird, knowing way. Like I'm some urban legend who lives 2 blocks over. And I smile back. Because I don't have to explain a thing anymore. They know. And more importantly, so does she.
Subscribe to the channel